Good evening, students. Welcome back to ACE Online SSC program. Today we are going to discuss about data interpretation. You take any aptitude exam, you will find questions from data interpretation. Now, why students should be tested in data interpretation? Why candidates must be tested in data interpretation? I tell you the reason. Data interpretation skills are compulsory. It is a must for good decision making. And if you are working at managerial level, decision making will be an important part of your job. And if you want to make good decisions in performing your job, you need to have good data interpretation skills because decisions are taken based on the data available with you. Lots of data is available with you, but if you are not able to analyze that data, then you cannot make good decisions. And that is the reason the examination board want to test the students whether they have good data interpretation skills so that they can make very good decisions. Okay? Now, to solve the problems in data interpretation, you need to have good knowledge of three areas. What are those three areas? First one is percentages. Second one is ratio and proportion. And third one is averages. And fourth one is percentage value of fractions. From 1/2 to 1/12. So you should have good knowledge of these areas to answer the questions in data interpretation. Because most 90% of the questions in data interpretation, either you will be asked to find out some percentage, it can be increase percentage, decrease percentage, change percentage. You will be asked to find some percentage, or you will be asked to find the ratio between two quantities, or you will be asked to find the average of some values. So to answer the questions in data interpretation, knowledge of these three areas is a must. Okay? And the fourth one, percentage value of fractions. Why the fourth one is required? Because data analysis means full of calculations. How do you analyze the data? You can analyze the data only if you can do the calculations. So data interpretation means full of calculations, and to do those calculations faster, this is absolutely required. Percentage value of fractions 1/2 to 1/12. If you know these values, you can do the percentage calculations very, very fast. So these are the four basic areas. Knowledge of these four basic areas is required to answer the questions in data interpretation. Okay? Now, while answering the questions in data interpretation, you need to keep in mind certain important points. What are those points? I tell you one by one. First point is go through the data. Go through data given. Okay, don't read the questions first. Okay, first read the data. What is the data given? How many years data given? In what format the data is given? What are the conditions given? So you try to go through all that and understand it. Only then you go for the questions. First you read the question and then go for the data. It is a time consuming process, and moreover solving the problem will also become difficult. So this is the first point. First you need to completely go through the data given, and only then you need to go for the questions. Okay? And second one is approximation. Now, in data interpretation, while solving the problems in data interpretation, 90% of the time we go for approximation. We don't do precise calculation. If you keep on doing precise calculation for each and every problem in data interpretation, the time available will not be sufficient. Okay, and therefore 90% of the time we go for approximation. And approximation doesn't mean blind guessing. It is an intelligent guessing. Approximation is an intelligent guessing. So we will go for precise calculations only when the options given are very, very close to each other. If the 4 options given are very, very close to each other, they differ only by decimals, then approximation doesn't work. In such a case, you need to go for precise calculations. But otherwise, if the options are not very close to each other, then you have to do the problem by approximation. Otherwise, the time available will never be sufficient to solve the problems in data interpretation. That is the second point to be kept in mind. And the third one is making use of options. Making use of options. Making use of options. For example, if you are given the data about 8 companies, okay, in a table format, you are given the data about 8 companies, and the question is which company has highest sales growth during the given period? Which company has highest sales growth during the given period? If that is the question, and if you keep finding out growth rate of each of those 8 companies, it is waste of time, because we have only 4 options. 8 companies' data is available in the table, but the options are only 4. Then if you keep finding out what is the growth rate, sales growth for each of those 8 companies, it is waste of time. So you have to find out growth rate of only those companies which are given in the choice. So that way you should make maximum use of the options. So these are the 3 points to be kept in mind. The first point is go through the complete data given, understand the conditions, understand the units given, and then the next one, approximation. 90% of the time we go for approximation. We will do precise calculation only when the options are very, very close to each other. Okay, and the third one, making use of options. Make maximum use of options so that we can cut down the time. Okay, some options given will be very, very relevant, so you can easily eliminate those options. Then if some options are eliminated, then decision making will become very easy. You can easily select one of the remaining 2 options, or remaining 1 option, or remaining 3 options. Okay, so these are the points to be kept in mind while answering the questions. Okay, now let us start the discussion with the tables. Now mainly the data will be given in the 4 formats. Going by our experience in all these years, in the exam, data will be given in the 4 formats. Okay, it will be given in the form of tables. It can be given in the form of tables, or it can be given in the form of pie charts, or it can be given in the form of bar graphs, or it can also be given in this form of line graphs. So these are the 4 models given. Okay, tables, pie charts, bar graphs, or line graphs. And sometimes it can be a combination of 2. It can be a combination of table and a pie chart, or it can be a combination of pie chart and bar graphs, or it can be a combination of table and line graphs. But basically, these are the 4 modules you find in data interpretation. So data is presented most of the times in these 4 formats. Okay, and right now let us start with tables. Right, now go through the data, because unless you go through the data, you cannot understand what I am going to explain. So just go through the data. What is the data given? Take some time and read the data. Meanwhile, I will also read out the data for you. Study the following table showing marks obtained by 6 candidates A, B, C, D, E, and F in 6 tests conducted in 1 academic year, and answer the questions given below. Okay, right. Now, there are 6 candidates. What are their names? A, B, C, D, E, F. So these are the 6 candidates, A, B, C, D, E, F. And 6 tests are conducted in 1 year. Test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, test 5, test 6. And these are the total marks scored in these 6 tests. 383. What is this 383? 383 is the total marks scored by candidate A in 6 tests. The candidate A has scored a total of 383 marks in 6 tests. That is the meaning. Okay. So that is how the data is presented. Now let us look at the first question. What is the first question? The total marks obtained by the candidates B and F together was the least in the test. So if you look at the total of B and F, it is least in which test? If you take the total of B and F, this total is least in which test? Test 1 or test 2, test 3 or test 4. That is what we have to find out. Now, don't find the total of B and F in all these 6 tests. It's waste of time because you can see how many options are given. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we are given only 4 options, why should we find the total of B and F in all the 6 tests? It's waste of time. So we take the use of options and we will find only for these options. Okay. Now second test. Let us start with first option. What is given in the first option? Second test. Now in the second test, what is the total of B and F? Here it is 62 and here it is 66. 62 and 66 is how much? 128. So 128. So first option 128 marks. Then second option is third test. So what is the total of B and F in the third test? Now here it is 68 and here also it is 68, 136. So 136 cannot be the answer. 136 cannot be the answer because what is the question? In which test the total is least? Now we already have 128 here. So when we already have 128, 136 cannot be the least total. So I just eliminate 136. Then what is so B cannot be the answer. Then third option, fourth test. So in fourth test, B's score is 60 and F's score is 58. 60 plus 58, 118. So 118, that means 128 cannot be the least score. 128 cannot be the least total of B and F. So I eliminate 128. That means first option also cannot be the answer. Then next D. D is fifth test. So fifth test, B's score is 58 and F's score is 59. So 117, 58 plus 59, how much? 117. So in fifth test, the total of B and F is 117. That means 118 cannot be the least. So the total of B and F, is least in which test? Fourth option, that is fifth test. So we take fifth test as the fourth option as the answer. Okay. Now suppose in answering this question, if you have found the total of B and F in all the 6 tests, then it would have been waste of time. Okay. Right. Now let us go for the next question. This table has totally 4 questions. 4 questions are given based on this table. Now let us go for the next question. Right. So same data. Next question. Which of the candidates has shown a steady improvement throughout the academic year? So which candidate is showing consistent improvement throughout the year? Which candidate is showing consistent improvement throughout the year? That is the question. Now let us go over the options. We go by the options. First option is A. Now what is happening A? What is happening in case of A? First test is scoring 60. Second test is scoring 64. That means improvement is there. But in third test is scoring less than 64. He is scoring 62. That means consistent improvement is not there. Consistency is not there in improvement. There is no steady improvement in case of A. One time it is increasing and next time it is decreasing. That means steady improvement is not there. So A cannot be the answer. Next, B. So what is happening in case of B? Let us check. 70. After 70, immediately it has become 62. That means there is no improvement at all. So you need not check the remaining scores. You need not check the remaining scores. In the first step itself, 70 has become 62. That means there is no steady improvement. So I can eliminate B as well. Then C. What is happening in case of C? 66, then 68, improvement is there. Then 68 has become 70, again improvement is there. Then 70 has become 72, again improvement is there. But 72 has become 70. That means it is decreasing. That only means there is no steady improvement. So C also can be eliminated. So obviously D will be the answer. We need not check. But still, for just for the sake of formality, we check the option D as well. So 59. 59 has become 60. So there is an improvement. 60 has become 62. Again there is an improvement. 62 has become 63. Again improvement. 63 has become 65. Improvement. 65 has become 67, improvement. 67, so 67 is the last test. So there is a consistent improvement in the scores of D throughout the year. Not even once the score has come down. There is a steady increase in his scores in all the 6 tests. So we take the answer as D. So the D is the answer. Okay, now here I want to highlight one point. If you want to take steady increase, at least there is an increase of 0.1 marks in this course. At least there should be a minimum of 0.1 marks increase in the score. Only then we can consider it as a consistent increase or steady increase. Suppose if the scores are given like this. For example, the scores are given like this. 60, 62, 65, 65, 68, 70. If the scores are given like this, then this cannot be considered a steady increase. Okay, it cannot be considered a steady increase because during 2 tests, the scores are equal. There is no improvement. See, 60 has become 62, agreed improvement. 62 has become 65, improvement. Then after that, 65 again remains 65. So in the 3rd test, 65. In the 4th test also 65. That means he is scoring same marks in both the tests. That means there is no improvement at all. So this cannot be considered as steady increase. It cannot be considered as consistent increase. So this you have to keep in mind. You cannot say that 60, 62, 65 and after 65, 68, 70. So it should be taken as steady increase. No. Steady increase means in every test there must be at least small improvement in every test. Okay, right. Now let us go for our next question. This is our next question. Which candidate has shown maximum percentage improvement in test 6 compared to test 1? So if you compare with test 1, if you compare test 6 score with test 1 score, which candidate has shown maximum percentage increase? That is the question. Now don't do the calculations for all the 6 students. You know why? It is a waste of time. Because we are given only 4 options. So we do the calculations only for those students who are given in the options. Okay. Now what is the first option? The first option is A. Now what is A score in the 6th test? 68. And what is A score in the first test? 60. That means first option, 60 has become 68. In the first test, he has scored 60. And in the 6th test, he has scored 68. He has scored 68. So what is the percentage increase? Increase percentage. Okay, 8 by 60 into 100. 8 by 60 into 100. 23 times, 25 times, 40 by 3 is 13.1 by 3%. So there is an increase of 13.1 by 3% in A score in the 6th test when compared to first test. Now like this we have to find out for all the 4 options. Then second option is E. So E means what is E score in the 6th test? 64. And first test 56. So B, 56 has become 64. So what is the percentage increase? Increase percentage equal to 8 by 56. 8 by 56. 8 by 56. 8 by 56 means 1 by 7. And 1 by 7 is 14.28%. So here I got 13.1 by 3% and here I got 14.28%. That means first option is not the answer. Because he's asking which student has shown maximum percentage increase. Here it is only 13.1 by 3%, but here it is 14.28%. So first option cannot be the answer, eliminated. Then third one is B. B means first test he has scored 70 and here 68. That means there is no increase at all. That means you need not do any calculations for the third option. You have to do the calculations only when there is an improvement in the score. But B score is not improving in the sixth test when compared to first test. In the first test he has scored 70, whereas in the sixth test he is scoring only 68, his score is decreasing. So we need not do any calculations for the third option. Then next, fourth option. What is fourth option? C. So what is happening in case of C? 66. In the first test he is scoring 66 and in the sixth test he is scoring 74. So 66 has become 74. 66 has become 74. So I write here 66 has become 74. So what is the increase percentage? 8 is the increase over 66. Now this also can be eliminated. Now one of you may want to ask me why it should be eliminated without doing calculations further. I explained you. Now in the second option, what fraction we got? 8 by 56. In the second option, we got the fraction 8 by 56. And in the fourth option, we got the fraction 8 by 66. And we know that 8 by 66 is much less than 8 by 56. 8 by 66 is much less than 8 by 56. So this percentage cannot be more than this percentage. And therefore, I eliminate the fourth option. That means without doing percentage calculation here, I could eliminate the fourth option because I compared it with second option. In second option, I got a fraction 8 by 56, whereas here it is 8 by 66. So 8 by 66 is much less in value when compared to 8 by 56. And therefore, this percentage cannot be highest. So this is also eliminated. So what will be the answer? Second option. So we take second option as the answer. That is candidate E. Okay, now let us look at the next question. Right. What is this question? In which test have all candidates performed better than the previous test? Now, do you understand the meaning of this question? In which test all the candidates performed better when compared to previous test? I repeat the logic for you. In which test all the candidates performed better when compared to previous test? Okay, right. Now, what is the first option? I told you to take maximum use of the options. I told you initially itself. Now here test 6. So let us start with test 6. Now candidate A 68 and 68 is more than 63, more than the previous test. Then candidate B 68 and 68 is more than the previous test. Then candidate C 74 and 74 is more than the previous test. Candidate D 67, 67 is more than the previous test. Then candidate E 64 and 64 is more than the previous test. Then candidate F 65 and 65 is more than the previous test. So in the very first option itself we got the answer. In test 6, all the 6 candidates performed better when compared to the previous test. So without looking into the other options, I can directly go for test 6. That is what I said. Okay, you have to make maximum use of the options. That is the only way. Approximation and the use of the options. These are the only way to cut down time in data interpretation. Okay, right. Now, the next one. So we have finished with that table. Okay, so table 1 is over and this is a new table. And on this table, I think we have around 3 to 4 questions on this table. So let us solve those questions also. Right, now first read the complete data, go through the complete data and try to understand it. I give you some time. Number of toys of 5 types, A to E, manufactured over the years in thousands is given below. Study the table and answer the following questions. Okay. Now here, there are 5 types of toys. 5 types of toys. Toy A, toy B, toy C, toy D and toy E. And the data about those toys is given for how many years? The data is given for 5 years. The data is given for year 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. So 5 types of toys are there and the data is given for 5 years. And one very important point in this table, whatever figures are given in this table are in thousands. It is clearly specified in brackets, in thousands. So when 200 is given here, it is not numerically equal to 200. It means 200 thousands. 200 thousands means 2 lakhs. So 2 lakh toys are manufactured, 2 lakh toys of type A is manufactured in the year 2002. That is the meaning. Now, here 150 is given. That means 150,000. 150,000 means 1,50,000. So 1,50,000 toys of type A is manufactured in the year 2003. That is how you have to understand the data given. Okay, right. Now let us answer the questions. What is the first question given? The approximate percentage increase in production of D type of toys from 2003 to 2005. So if you look at D type toys, what is the percentage increase from 2003 to 2005? That is the question. So this is the D type. Then what is the percentage increase from 2003 to 2005? In 2003, production is 105. And in 2005, it is 125. So 105 has become 125. So I write here, 105 has become 125. 105 has become 125. Now here, I want to explain one important point. One of you may want to ask me, just a minute back, sir told us that the data is given in thousands, but he is once again taking directly 105 and 125. Why is he not taking the data in thousands? Some of you may want to put this question to me, but I'll give you the reason for that. Now, in this problem, the answer is asked in terms of percentage. So when answer is asked in terms of percentage, whether you take thousands or you directly take the numericals, the percentage will be same. If you are asked to find the answer in absolute figures, then you have to definitely take the figures in thousands. But here, the answer is not asked in absolute figures. The answer is asked in percentage. So when the answer is asked in percentage, whether you consider thousands or you directly consider the numericals given, the answer will be same. And therefore, I take 105 and 125. So in 2003, it is 105. And in 2005, it has become 125. So what is the increase percentage? Increase percentage. Increase is 20 is the increase over 105. 20 is the increase over 105. And this has to be converted into percentage. So into 100. Okay. Now, I told you that you should know the percentage value of fractions so that you can do the percentage calculations faster. Already we have seen 5 questions, and in almost all the 5 questions we are asked to find the answer in percentages. So percentages are very, very widely used in data interpretation. So you should know how to do those percentage calculations faster. And knowing the percentage value of fractions will help you to do the calculations very, very fast. Now I tell you, this is one example. 20 by 105. In the normal circumstances, what you will do? 521 times, 520 times, 20 into 20, 400, 400 by 21. Then again you will divide 400 by 21 and you will find the percentage. But I don't do like that. I don't do like this. I directly mark the answer without doing the calculations. I will directly mark the answer without doing the calculation, just by observation. And you can also do it. And what is the procedure for that? I tell you. 20 is the increase over 105. Then into 100. Now, we know that 20 by 100. 20 by 100 is 1 by 5. And 1 by 5 is 20%. So when 20 by 100 is 20%, 20 by 105 will be slightly less than this. When 20 by 100 is giving 20%, then 20 by 105 will give you slightly less than this. Now tell me, how many options are there which are slightly less than 20%? Only one option. So without any risk, you can directly mark the answer, because the options are not very, very close to each other. Suppose if there are two options, one option is 19% and another option is 18.9%. Then it would have become difficult for choosers to choose the options. But here you can clearly see the options are not very close to each other. So slightly less than 20% means you can easily pick second option as the answer. Okay, so 19% is the answer here. Okay, now let us go for the next question. The percentage drop in production, of A type of toys from 2002 to 2004. So if you consider A type of toys, what is the drop means decrease. What is the percentage decrease in manufacture of toys from 2002 to 2004? That is the question. Okay, 2002, 200 toys. And 2004, 180 toys. So 200 has become 180. In 2002, I already told you, when a question is asked in percentage, no need to take thousands. You can directly take the numericals given in the table. Okay, so 200 has become 180. So what is the decrease percentage? 20 is the decrease over 200. And 20 by 200 is 1 by 10. And 1 by 10, we know it is 10%. We know that it is equal to 10%. So the drop in the production of A-type toys from 2002 to 2004 is 10%. Okay, right. Now, let us go for the next question. So this is the next question. Same table, next question. The approximate percentage increase, this is not off, in. The approximate percentage increase in the production of all types of toys from 2005 to 2006. So if you consider the production of all types of cars, what is the percentage increase from 2005 to 2006? That is the question. Now, to answer this question, we should know how many cars were manufactured in 2005 and not cars, I'm sorry, it should be toys. Okay, how many toys are manufactured in the year 2005 and how many toys are manufactured in the year 2006? So first let us find out what is the total number of toys manufactured in 2005. Okay, now 195 plus 160, 355, 375, 475, 475, 600, 675. So the total is 675 in the year 2005. 675 means 6,75,000 because the data is given in thousands. Already told you the data is given in thousands, but no need to consider thousands because here also the answer is asked in percentage. Now, what is the total number of toys manufactured in the year 2006? Now, again, add all these figures. 220 plus 185, 405. 405, 535. 535, 670. 670 plus 80, 750. Okay, 750. 750. So, in 2005, the total number of toys manufactured is 675. I repeatedly tell you 675, I mean not exactly 675, 6,75,000 toys. But while calculating percentage, no need to take those thousands. So 675 has become 750. So what is the increase percentage? 75 is the increase over 675 into 100. And if any of you doesn't know how to calculate increase percent and decrease percent, I just give you two simple formulas to find out increase percent and decrease percent. Or you can say more percent and less percent. So the formulas are like this: increase percent or more percent. You can use the formula for both to find out increase percent and also to find out more percent. And what is the formula? Difference by smaller number, difference by smaller number into 100. This is the formula to calculate increase percent or to calculate more percent. Then to calculate decrease percent or to calculate less percent, the meaning is same. The formula is difference by larger number, difference by larger number into 100, into 100. Okay, these two formulas will be very, very helpful to you. They will come in very handy to avoid the confusion. Right, so what is the increase percentage? So difference is 75, by smaller number is 675 into 100. Now this is 75, this is 75 9 times and this is 75 1 times. So 1 by 9. And when I see the fraction 1 by 9, I can directly write 11 1 by 9%. Because I remember the percentage value of fraction 1 by 9. I told you to remember the values from 1 by 2 to 1 by 12. So when as soon as I see the fraction 1 by 9, I readily know that its percentage value is 11 1 by 9%. So the answer is 11 1 by 9%. So 11 1 by 9% is not given. So when 11 1 by 9% is not given, we should go for an option which is close to it. So we can easily take C as the answer. Right? Now let us go for the next question. Now this question, the difference of the average number of toys of the types B and C manufactured over the years was dash. Now here, if you find average production of B-type toys and average production of C-type toys for the given period, what is the difference? That is the question. Okay, so we need to find out average production of B-type toys. We also have to find the average production of C-type toys. Then we have to find the difference between those two averages. That is what we are asked to find. Okay, what is the average production of B-type toys? B-type toys average production. So to find, what is the formula for average? I told you, you should have good knowledge of percentages, ratio proportions and averages to answer the questions in data interpretation. Okay, so here an average is asked. So how do you find the average production of B-type toys? Now average formula is sum of the quantities divided by number of quantities. So what is the total production of B-type toys? 150 plus 180, 330. 330 plus 175, 505. 505 plus 160, 665. 665 plus 185, 665, 670, 750, 850. So average of B is 850. 850. The total production for all the 5 years is 850. And how do we find the average? total divided by number of years. And how many years? 5 years. That is 170. So average production of B-type toys for the given period is 170. And remember friends, you have to be very fast in doing additions and subtractions. You can't help. You have to be fast in doing additions and subtractions. When I can do this addition so fast at my age, so your speed should be at least 3 to 4 times of my speed. Okay? Right. Now, average production of which type? C type. C. Now, what is the total production of C in all these years? Total production of C type toys in all these years? 78 plus 100, 178, 178, 180, 270, 270 plus 120, 390, 390, 420, 520. 520. This is the total production of C type toys in the 5 years. So to find out the average, we need to divide the total by number of years. So 520 by 5 is 104. So the average production for B type is 170. And the average production for C type is 104. So what is the difference? The difference is clearly 66. The difference is 66. So the answer is 66. Okay? Now, so the problem is over. But I want to highlight one very, very important point. What is that point? I tell you. It is clearly given in the question to give the answer in thousands. Whatever answer you get, that answer should be given in thousands. Clearly directions are given. See here. The difference of the average number of toys in thousands, clearly given in brackets. So we are asked to give the answer in thousands. And therefore, I wrote the answer as 66. Suppose if this in thousands is not given in brackets here, then my answer would have been like this. My answer would be like this if this thousands is not given in brackets. But it is clearly specified to give the figure in thousands, and therefore I simply took 66 as the answer. Okay? Right. Now, let us go for the next question. Right. This is another table. Or else, I just want to give you some extra questions. Not extra questions, some important questions based on the same table. Some important questions based on the same table. Suppose if I ask, I just rub this part. Right. Now, suppose if I ask you, what is the growth rate of D-type toys? What is the growth rate of D-type toys during the given period? If that is the question, I write here growth rate. What is the growth rate for D-type? What is the growth rate of D-type during the given period? If that is the question, what will you do? Growth rate is nothing but increase percent. The growth rate का मतलब है increase percent. So in the given period, what is the increase percent in the production of D-type toys? That is the meaning. So growth rate or increase percent, both are one and the same. So how do you calculate this? Now initially D-type toys were 90. D-type manufactured initially is 90. But end of the period, the figure has touched 135. So initially only 90 toys. 90 means 90,000. But anyhow, we are finding the answer in percentage, so I can directly take 90. So initially 90 toys were manufactured every year. But in the last year, the figure has touched 135. So 90 has become 135. So what is the growth rate? I already told you growth rate is nothing but increase percent. Growth rate, or else I write growth rate or increase percent. And what is the formula I gave you for increase percent? Difference by smaller number into 100. So difference is 45, smaller number is 90 into 100. Now 45 by 90. 45 by 90 is nothing but 1 by 2. And when I see 1 by 2, I can directly write 50%. Then I can say the growth rate of D-type toys for the given period is 50%. Okay, see, this growth rate is regularly asked in data interpretation, so you should know how to calculate growth rate and what is growth rate. Now, I add one more important question here. What is the average growth rate? What is the average growth rate of D-type toys? What is the average growth rate of D-type toys during the given period? If that is the question, then the first step in the problem is to find out growth rate. To find out average growth rate, first you have to find out growth rate. And we already calculated growth rate. What is the growth rate? 50%. So 50%. Divided by, don't divide by number of years. Don't divide by n. N means number of years. Don't divide by n. Divide by n minus 1. So you have to divide by 4 years. Then 50 by 4 is 12.5%. Then we say average growth rate for D-type toys for the given period is 12.5%. Now, I understand what is the question doing rounds in your mind. So why should we divide it by 4? Why not 5? When 5 years data is given, then to find out average growth rate, we should divide it by 5. Why Sarah's divided with 4? I tell you the reason. I understand 5 years data is given. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when 5 years data is given, there will be scope for only 4 increases, 4 possible increases. Okay, when 5 years data is given, you cannot find 5 increases. You can find only 4 increases maximum. See here, from 90 to 105, from here to here, 1 increase. Then from here to here, another increase. I'm talking about possible increase. Okay, then from here to here, 3rd increase, and from here to here, 4th increase. So when 5 years data is given, the number of possible increases will be only 4. If 6 years data is given, the number of possible increases will be only 5. So when n years data is given, the number of possible increases will be n minus 1. So to find out average growth rate, we should never divide by number of years. We should divide by number of possible increases, which is nothing but n minus 1. So 50% divided by 4, 12.5%. So this is average growth rate, how to calculate growth rate and how to calculate average growth rate, right? Now let us go to the, so we finish about tables here. Now we will go for pie charts, okay? Right. Okay. Now we will discuss about pie charts. So tables, we are finished with tables. Now it is pie charts. Now before we answer these questions, I would like to give you some basics on pie charts. The first thing is how to convert degrees into percentage and how to convert percentages into degrees. That we will discuss first. Now suppose for example, first one, 72 degrees. I want to convert this 72 degrees into percentage. Then how do you convert degrees into percentage? 72 degrees out of 360 degrees. Now why out of 360? Because we know a pie chart represents 360 degrees. A pie chart, the complete pie chart represents 360 degrees. So 72 degrees out of 360 degrees. Now you have to convert this fraction into percentage. And we all know to convert a fraction into percentage, we have to multiply the fraction with 100. So into 100. Now 72 by 360 degrees means I can clearly see 1 by 5 here. I can clearly see a fraction 1 by 5 here, okay. So 1 by 5 means 20%. So without doing further calculations, I can say 72 degrees when converted into percentage will represent 20%. Now, next one. 15%. 15%. I want to convert this 15% into degrees. So we have seen how to convert degrees into percentage. Now we will see how to convert percentage into degrees. So 15%. And now I have to convert this 15% into degrees. So how do we do that? 15% of 360 degrees. That means 15 by 100 into 360 degrees. Now do the calculations, you get 54 degrees. So this is how we convert degree percentage into degrees. Okay, so this is about the conversion. Now I want to add one more point here. In a pie chart, if data is given in percentages, then the complete pie chart will add up to 100%. For example, here, suppose this is a pie chart. Now, cars, 20%, buses, 25%, scooters, 30%, scooters 30%, then autos what percentage, if this is the question. Now here the data is given in percentages. So when the data is given in percentages, this complete pie chart will represent 100%. And the pie chart represents 100%. Out of 100, we have already considered 20 plus 25, 45, 45 plus 30, 75. So the pie chart represents 100%, and out of 100%, we have already considered 75%. That means the remaining sector, this sector represents 25%. Okay? And similarly, if the data is given in degrees, then the complete pie chart will represent 360 degrees. So this is one more point that you need to keep in mind. Okay? Come on. Now let us try to answer the questions in pie charts. Now I just rub it off. Right. Now, what is the question? If the following graph represents the transport used by children, study the graph and answer, okay, and answer, this has been given 2 times, and answer the questions that follow. Okay, right. So what is given? The transport used by children, and the data is given in degrees. And when data is given in degrees, the complete pie chart will represent how many degrees? 360 degrees. Now what is the question? What is the measure of the angle at the center representing people walking? So what is the angle represented by walk? That is the question. What is the angle represented by walk? Now, we know that the total should be 360 degrees because pie chart represents 360 degrees. Then 24 plus 120, 144. 144 plus 72, 216. So out of 360 degrees, 216 degrees is already used. Then walking will represent how many degrees? 360 degrees minus 216 degrees, 144 degrees. Okay, you can clearly see these 3 sectors when added represent how many degrees? 24 plus 120, 144, 144 plus 72, 216. So when these 3 sectors together represent 216 degrees, what is the angle represented by this sector? So 360 minus 216, 144 degrees. A very, very simple question. Okay, so we can take the answer as 144 degrees. Now the next question. If 10 students come by car, how many come by bus? So if the number of students coming by car is 10, How many come by bus? That is the question. Now, what is the angle represented by car? The angle represented by car is 24 degrees given here. So, when 24 degrees represent 10 students, when 24 degrees represent 10 students, what is the question? How many come by bus? And bus is represented by how many degrees? 120 degrees. Then I can do like this. When 120 degrees will represent how many students? When 24 degrees represents 10 students, 120 degrees will represent how many students? Now, how 24 degrees equal to 10 students? Because it's clearly given in the problem, 10 students come by car. So, how many come by car? In terms of angle, it is 24 degrees. In terms of actual number of students, it is 10. That means 24 degrees is equal to 10 students. So, the logic here is when 24 degrees represent 10 students, 120 degrees will represent how many students? Now, you can clearly see the left side is becoming 5 times. So, when the left side becomes 5 times, the right side will also become 5 times, and 5 times of 10 is how much? 50. So, I can say the number of students using bus will be 50. So, the answer is 50. Okay, come on, let us go for the next question. Right. There is one more question left in the graph. Now, what is the percentage of children using scooter? So, what percentage of students using scooter? Okay. Now, scooter is represented by how many degrees? 72 degrees. Now, this 72 degrees should be converted into percentage. That's it. Because what is the percentage of children using scooter? But the data is not given in percentage, the data is given in degrees. So, to get the answer, what should we do? We convert those degrees into percentage, then we get the answer. So, we have to convert this 72 degrees into percentage. And how do we convert 72 degrees into percentage? 72 degrees out of 360 degrees. And this fraction we have to convert into percentage into 100, and that will give you 20%. That means 20% of students use scooter. So, the answer is 20%. Okay. Now, okay, this is done. This is done. Done, right. Now, the next question. This is based on, again, a different set of data. Go through the data first. The pie chart shows the breakup in percentage, okay, of the various expenses of a company. Study the diagram and answer the following questions. So, the pie chart is showing the breakup of the expenses. Breakup of the expenses of a company. What percentage the company is spending on each category is given in the pie chart. The company is spending 15% of the expenditure. The 15% of the company's expenditure is on salaries. 15% of the company's expenditure is on raw materials. And 25% of the money is used for paying electricity bills. And 10% of the money is used for paying interest. And another 15% of the money is used for transport, and 5% is used for paying rent. So, these are the expenses. So, out of the total expenses of a company, what percentage is spent on each category is given in the pie chart. Okay. So, all the data is given in percentages. Actual figures in rupees is not given. Whatever data is given, it is given only in percentages. Okay, right. Now, which is the second biggest expense of the company? Now, the first biggest expenditure is electricity bill. We can see 25%. So biggest expense of the company is electricity bill, 25%. After electricity, what is the next biggest expenditure? It is raw materials. You can say raw materials, you can say salaries also, you can say transport also. Raw materials, salaries, transport. So you can choose any of these three. Okay, any of these three, because salaries represent 15%, transport represents 15%, and raw material also represents 15%. So second biggest expense of the company, you can take any of these three. I think the options are wrongly chosen, but if you can understand the concept, that is enough. Okay, right. The next question. The ratio of company's expenditure on raw material and transport to salaries. So here we are asked to find out a ratio. Ratio between what? Ratio of expenditure on raw material and transport, and the second one is salaries. So it is like this: raw material plus transport. Raw material plus transport is to salaries. So what is the ratio between these two categories? That is the question. What is the ratio between these two categories? What is the first term of the ratio? First term of the ratio is raw material plus transport. And what should be the second term of the ratio? Second term of the ratio should be salaries. It is clearly given. So you can see the ratio of company's expenditure on raw material and transport. So this raw material and transport will be the first term of the ratio, and this salaries will be the second term of the ratio. Okay, and remember, to find out the answer in percentage or to find out the answer in ratios, you don't need absolute figures. Absolute figures की जरूरत नहीं है. अगर एक आंसर परसेंटेज में पूछते हैं या आंसर रेशियोज में पूछते हैं तो एब्सोल्यूट फिगर्स की जरूरत नहीं है. जो भी न्यूमेरिकल्स पाई चार्ट के अंदर देते हैं वो डेटा से हम आंसर फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं. Okay, now you don't know how much money is spent on raw materials. You know only in percentage, 15%. But how many rupees? I can't say. Similarly, how much is spent on salaries? I can say 15%. But how much is spent in terms of rupees? I can't say, because the data is not given like that. The data is given only in percentages. So remember, I repeat this point. When answer is asked in percentages, or answer is asked in ratios, you don't require absolute figures. Whatever data is given inside the pie chart, with the help of that data, we can find out the answer. Okay, so raw material plus transport. Raw material is 15, transport is also 15. So 15 plus 15 is to salaries. Salaries is also represented by 15. So this is 30 is to 15 or 2 is to 1. So ratio of money spent is how much? 2 is to 1. So I can take the answer as 2 is to 1. Next question. The company's expenditure on interest is greater than expenditure on rent by what percentage? So expenditure on interest is what percentage more when compared to expenditure on rent? Now you can see once again the answer is asked in percentage. So how much money is paid as rent in rupees? Not required. How much interest is paid in rupees? That is also not required. We don't require any data in rupees here because the answer is not asked in terms of rupees. The answer is asked in terms of percentage. And I already told you, when answer is asked in percentage or answer is asked in ratios, absolute data is not required. Whatever is given inside the pie chart, that is enough. So let us find out. How much money is spent on interest? 10%. So I can take it as 10 rupees. The money is spent on paying interest. How much interest is paid? 10 rupees. And how much rent is paid? Rent is given as 5%. So you can take rent as 5 rupees. So here, what is the first one? interest. Now, interest paid is 10 rupees and rent paid is 5 rupees. And the question is, interest paid is what percentage more when compared to rent paid? That is the question. And I gave you the formula for more percentage. What is the formula I gave you for more percentage? Difference by smaller number into 100. So difference is 5, smaller number is 5 into 100, so 100%. Then I can clearly say the expenditure on interest is 100% more. Expenditure on interest is 100% more when compared to expenditure on rent. That is our answer. So I can take 100% as the answer. Okay? Right. This is the next question. If the total expenses of the company are rupees 50 crores. So the total expenditure of the company is taken as 50 crores. So here absolute data is given. That means we may be asked to find the answer in rupees, and that is the reason absolute data is given. Now, if the total expenses of the company are rupees 50 crores, the total expenditure on transport and electricity is, so what is the total expenditure on transport and electricity? So transport is 15%, electricity is 25%, so 15% plus 25%, put together 40%. So answer is 40% of 50 crores. Answer is 40% of 50 crores, that is rupees 20 crores. So the answer is rupees 20 crores, C is the answer. So when answer is asked in absolute figures, then you should have absolute data. But when answer is asked in percentage and ratios, you know the absolute data is not required. Okay, now let us see whether any more questions are there on the same diagram. No. Right, let us answer. This is one more set of questions. One more set of questions on pie chart. Read the directions first. The following pie chart shows the monthly expenditure of a family on food, house rent, clothing, education, fuel, and miscellaneous. Study the pie chart, answer the given question. So the pie chart gives the breakup of the expenditure of the family. The family spends how much on each category is given in the pie chart. And all the data is not given in rupees, it is given in percentage. That means absolute data is not given. Then, what is the first question? If the expenditure for food is 9,000, then the expenditure for education is, suppose expenditure on food is 9,000 rupees, then what is the expenditure on education? That is the question. Now, if you look at the pie chart, expenditure on food is how much? 30%. And expenditure on education is how much? 18%. Now, when 30% is equal to 9,000 rupees, when 30% is equal to 9,000 rupees, 18% is equal to how many rupees? This is the logic. How 30% is 9,000 rupees? Because it's clearly given in the question. If the expenditure for food is rupees 9,000. Now, if you look at the pie chart, expenditure on food is 30%. But in the problem, it is given as 9,000 rupees. That only means 30% is equal to 9,000. And what is the question? What is the expenditure on education? Then expenditure on education is represented by 18%. So if 30% is equal to 9,000, 18% is how much? You can do the calculation like this. When 30 gives you 9,000, when 30 gives you 9,000, 18 will give you how much? 31 times 300 times. So it is rupees 5,400. So the answer is rupees 5,400. Next question. Okay, now the central angle of this sector for the expenditure on fuel is, so Here, what is the angle represented by fuel? That is the question. What is the angle represented by fuel? But here, the data is given in percentage. So to answer the question, we have to convert the percentage into degrees. So what is the fuel represents what percentage? Fuel represents 15%. Fuel represents 15%, and this 15% we have to convert it into degrees. So the answer is 15%. 15% of 360 degrees, and when you do these calculations, you get 54 degrees. Then fuel represents 54 degrees in the pie chart. So the answer is 54 degrees. Okay. The next question. If the expenditure on fuel is rupees 3,000, then total expenditure excluding expenditure on house rent and education is. So if the expenditure on fuel is 3,000, what is the total expenditure? That is the question. And while calculating total expenditure, you have to exclude house rent and education. Now, when we exclude house rent and education, what is the total expenditure in percentage? Okay, house rent and education put together 38%. So, if you exclude house rent and education, then the rest of it is 62%. So, I write total expenditure. Total expenditure in percentage. So, total expenditure, I write here, excluding house rent and education. Total expenditure excluding house rent and education is 100% minus 38%. That will give you 62%. So total expenditure is 62%. Okay, if you exclude house rent and education. Okay, now then, but we are asked to give the answer not in percentage, we are asked to give the answer in rupees. Now expenditure on fuel is 3,000, then what is the total expenditure? That is the question. Now fuel represents what percentage? Fuel represents 15%. Fuel represents 15%. So I write here, if 15% is equal, 15% gives you 3,000 rupees. If 15% gives you 3,000 rupees, 62% will give how much? So when 15 is giving 3,000, 62 will give how much? So that will give you 12,400 rupees. Then I can say the total expenditure excluding education and house rent is 12,400. Okay, so with this we have finished pie charts as well. So we have discussed tables and we have also discussed pie chart. So we close this session. So I hope you understand how to handle the questions in data interpretation. And data interpretation in the next session, we will be discussing how to handle the questions in bar graphs and also line graphs. Okay, thank you very much.